Hello, mighty companion. This is Earl Purdy, and I want to welcome you to Facebook Live, A Course in Miracles, A Course in Right Perception, because it teaches that if you jokers have a right perception, it's a miracle. So that's why, in my perception, it's called A Course in Miracles, because it's talking about how you can see things in such a way that you feel nothing but peace. And today, I'm actually going to cover one of the most powerful lessons that I've covered in the Course in Miracles. And it's about how you can be a means to solve not just your problems, what would be the easy way to solve everybody else's problems. When I first saw this section in the Course in Miracles, it blew me away because it's showing you how to be a means to easily solve any problems you may have, but also any problems anybody else that you know may have. So it's really a powerful, wonderful, incredible section. So this is Earl Purdy. Welcome to A Course in Miracles here on Facebook Live. We're going to be doing lesson 38 in the workbook, in the blue book of A Course in Miracles. We're going to be doing lesson 38. There's nothing my holiness cannot do, which is the same as saying there's nothing my power of God cannot do. There's nothing your power cannot do. There's nothing getting in touch with your innocence and guiltlessness cannot do. So we are going to talk about how do you tap into your power for real, and that power in you that gives you the ability to be the means of solving your problems and anybody else's problems. So I'm excited. Every time I do the Course in Miracles, I get excited. After over 40 years, I'm more excited about the Course in Miracles than ever. So what are the guidelines? What are the rules? What are the rules to keep in mind when we are studying A Course in Miracles? Those of you who have books and can get to your books, go to lesson 38 in the workbook. And lesson 38 is there's nothing my holiness, my power of God cannot do. And it's on page 58 in the workbook section of the book, page 58. So what is it that we need to remember? Well, in all my years of doing the Course in Miracles, I know that the thing that's most important to remember is what it says at the very beginning of the workbook, which is some of the ideas that the Course presents you're going to find hard to believe. Okay, so let's just get that straight. I'm going to probably say some things that you're going to find hard to believe. What did I say? I'm going to probably say some things that you're going to find hard to believe. What else am I going to do? I'm also going to say some things that may startle you. What else am I going to do? You need to realize that it doesn't matter. What doesn't matter? It doesn't matter if you find what I say from A Course in Miracles hard to believe. It doesn't matter if you find some of the things I talk about from A Course in Miracles startling. What are you being asked to do? What is it that you are being asked to do? I'm the divine repetition teacher. I am your remembering coach. And the Course in Miracles says that the way you change your mind is through repetition, telling yourself the truth, telling yourself another way to look at things over and over and over and over again. It is not through analyzing the truth that you will understand and get the truth. It's through hearing what it's saying and then applying that to whatever it is that you are going through in your personal life right now. My emphasis is going to be on the application of the ideas so that you can get the result, which is total peace and joy that you want to have in your life. So you're not asked to judge the ideas at all. You're merely being asked to apply the ideas the way you're being directed to apply the ideas. Apply the ideas the way you're being directed to apply the ideas in order to get the happiness and the peace that you want. You're not being asked to judge the ideas. You're not being asked to analyze the ideas. So what are you being asked to do? You're being asked to do something very radical. You're being asked to use the ideas. It is their use that will give the ideas meaning to you. It's through using these ideas that will give these ideas meaning to you, and it is through using the ideas that the ideas will show you that they're true. So I'll say it again. I'm about to share with you how you can allow every problem that you think you have to be alleviated, solved, and resolved. And I'm also going to show you how the Course in Miracles says you could be a means of solving and resolving the problems that anyone else has around you also. So what is it that you need to remember? What is the only thing you need to remember? The only thing you need to remember is that you need not believe the ideas. You need not accept the ideas. You need not even welcome the ideas. Some of the ideas you may actively resist. Some of the ideas you may actively resist. None of your resistance will matter. None of your resistance will decrease the effectiveness of what the Course in Miracles is teaching. So what is it that you must not allow yourself to do? What is it that you must not do? You must not make exceptions in applying the ideas that the Course in Miracles contains. The Course in Miracles ideas apply to everything and everyone without exception. What did you just say, Earl? If it's the truth, it applies to everyone and everything equally. So in applying the ideas that the Course in Miracles is telling you, do not make exceptions. Don't say that there are some people, some situations, and some circumstances that these teachings do not apply. Whatever your reaction to the ideas may be, use the ideas, no matter whether you like the ideas, whether you understand the ideas, or whether you feel good about the ideas. It doesn't matter. Whatever your reaction to the ideas may be, what is it that you are being asked to do? You are being asked to use the ideas in A Course in Miracles, regardless of your reaction to the ideas. Okay, so now we're going to dive into it because this is such a powerful lesson. It's the first time I've done this lesson in many, many years, because this lesson can be so challenging because it is so powerful. Lesson 38, there's nothing my holiness cannot do. It's in the workbook. It's on page 58. Thank you for showing up live, and thank you for watching this replay. I really appreciate the fact that you're tuned in live and be able to communicate with each other. So the Course in Miracles says that it wants you to take it slowly. So the Course in Miracles says, read me slowly. Don't analyze what's being said, but contemplate what's being said. Think about it. Let related thoughts come to you to help you understand what is being said, but don't analyze it. So we're going to take this line by line, and I'm going to move pretty fast because it's much more important that we do the practical application of the ideas than to deal with all the theory. So what is the first line? It says, your holiness reverses all the laws of the world. So when you're studying the Course in Miracles, it reads like you don't know what it's talking about. So if you keep reading instead of stopping to analyze it, it explains itself. First of all, holiness means innocence. I do the Course in Miracles in plain language, so I'm going to use some substitutions that the Course in Miracles uses. One of the Course in Miracles definitions for holiness is innocence. Another definition of holiness is the power of God, the power of love. So when the Course says there's nothing my holiness cannot do, it's saying there's nothing my innocent state of mind cannot do. There's nothing your power that comes from God cannot do. Do you know you have the power of God within you? You have the power of love within you. You have the power of the Creator within you. You may not believe it, you may not accept it, it may startle you, but that doesn't matter. You have the power of God in you, and it reverses all the laws of the world. So the laws of God do not obey the laws of man. The laws of the universe do not obey the laws of people. The laws of the universe go beyond anything that people can do. What does that mean? It means whatever the world teaches, the Spirit, God, is not limited by what we can and cannot do. And the laws of God, your holiness, is beyond every restriction of time, space, distance, and limits of any kind. So there's a power within you that is unlimited. You have a power within you that is unlimited, that goes beyond the laws of time and space. So your holiness, which is your innocence, why am I saying innocence? Because do you know the Course says that your thoughts create your perception of reality, that everything that you are looking at represents a pictorial representation of the thoughts you have in your mind. Whatever you're looking at right now is being projected from your mind. Whatever you're looking at right now, you're seeing it in your mind. Whatever you are looking at, feeling and perceiving, it is in your own mind. So your power of God, your innocence. So the Course is saying, well, let me tell you the way it works. If you have thoughts of anger, guilt, grievances, and fear, then you're going to see a world that's full of anger and attack that seems to be unsafe. So what you're looking at on the outside is a reflection of what's going on in the inside. What you're looking at on the outside is a reflection of what's going on in the inside. So if you have a mind that has anger, guilt, and grievances, then you see things in the world that upset you, and you see things in the world that make you feel afraid. If you are looking at things through a mind that sees itself as innocent and loving and free, then you are looking at a world that it looks like you're surrounded by a lot of love and joy and happiness. So your holiness, your power comes from the realization of your innocence. I'll say it again. Your power comes from the realization and acceptance that you are not guilty, you are not sinful, that you are innocent. Your innocence and your holiness are the same. So what is the truth about your holiness? What is the truth about your power? What is the truth about your power? Well, your power is totally unlimited. So your holiness is totally unlimited in its power. And your innocence, your power, do you know that your innocence, do you know that your power establishes you as a child of God? What you really are is a child of love. You are a child of an infinite creator. You are the child of an unlimited power. You are part of an unlimited power. You were created by an unlimited power. And since you were created by an unlimited power, guess what? Guess what? You have unlimited power. You have unlimited power. You have unlimited power. What kind of power do you have? You have unlimited power. What kind of power do you have? You have unlimited power. You have holiness. Holiness is innocence and unlimited power. So when you say you are a child of God, when the Course in Miracles says you are a child of God, what does that mean? Well, it says it means you are at one. Who are you at one with? As a child of God, you are at one with the mind of your Creator. You are joined. You are joined to the Creator's mind. You are joined to God's mind. You are joined to love. You are joined to power. Why am I saying this over and over again? Because the Course in Miracles says you should say it over and over again. I'm following the instructions that the Course in Miracles itself gives for how to study the Course in Miracles. And it says you get it through repeating it. So how do you make the power of God manifest in your life? How do you make the power of abundance, the power of joy, the power of oneness, the power of love? How do you make that manifest in your life? It's through your innocence. It's through the recognition of your innocence, which is your holiness. It says, through your holiness, the power of God is made manifest. How? Through your innocence, the power of love is made manifest. God is love. So how do you make love manifest in your life? You make love manifest in your life by getting in touch with your own guiltlessness, your own innocence. The more you recognize your own innocence, the more you recognize your own guiltlessness, you will see the power of God manifest in your life. If you want to see love manifest in your life, health manifest in your life, peace manifest in your life, it's going to come through the awareness of your holiness, through the awareness of the power of love and God that's inside you. So how do you make the power of God available to you? What? Well, God has so much power and that power is available to me. How do I make that power available to me? How do I make this power that comes from love available to me? Through your holiness, through your innocence, through your innocence. Wherever you see the word holiness, you can substitute the word innocence. You can substitute the word love. You can substitute the words the power of God. Do you know that these are all definition from A Course in Miracles about what holiness means. So if a person wants to get in touch with the power of God, if a person wants to get in touch with the power of the universe, how does a person get in touch with the power of the universe? The way you get in touch with your power is through the recognition of your innocence, your guiltlessness, because everything that you experience is coming from your thought. Everything that you experience is coming from your state of mind. Everything, all of it, all of it, all of it. There are no exceptions. Every single aspect of your life, as you perceive it, is coming from your own thinking and coming from your own thought. Now, do you have thoughts that you are aware of and thoughts that you are not aware of? Yes. Do you have beliefs that you are aware of and beliefs that you are not aware of? Yes. So your life, your perception, your experience is a reflection of not only your conscious thoughts, feelings, emotions, and beliefs, but they're also a result of your unconscious thoughts, feelings, emotions, and beliefs. So, keep on. We're in paragraph 2. The Course in Miracles says, your holiness then can remove all pain. What? I said your holiness, your innocence, your power of God can remove all pain. Did you say all pain? Yeah, all pain. Your innocence can remove all pain. Your power that comes from spirit can end not some sorrow. It says there's nothing the power of God cannot do. Your holiness, your innocence can remove all pain, can end all sorrow, and can do what? Solve all problems. Your innocence, your power of God, your holiness can solve all of your problems. Your holiness can solve all of your problems. Your innocence can solve all of your problems. Being aware of your innocence and letting go of anger, guilt, and grievances can solve all of your problems. Everything that's happening in your life is coming from your own thoughts, feelings, emotions, and beliefs. Everything that you are attracting and experiencing in every area of your life is coming from your thoughts, feelings, emotions, and beliefs. And your innocent mind in you can remove all pain. What? Pain. All sorrow, and can solve all problems. Not only can your holiness solve all problems and end all pain in connection with you, but your innocence, your holiness, your love, your power of God can remove all pain and sorrow and problems in connection with anyone else. Did that just say that? Yeah, it says your holiness can remove all pain, can end all sorrow, and end all problems. But it can also do that not only in connection with you, but your innocence, your power of love, your power of God can also solve all problems, end all pain, and end all sorrow when it comes to anyone else. Well, does that mean that your power, your real power that comes from your innocence, does that mean your real power that comes of love and comes from God and comes from the truth? Does that mean your true self is equal in its power to help anyone because your holiness, your power is equal in its power to save anyone? So that means you have the power to save anyone. You have the power. You could be the means for removing all pain, suffering, and ending all problems in connection with yourself and in connection with your friends, your relatives, and everybody you know. The Course in Miracles is saying there's a power within you that can not only solve your problems, but there's a power in you that can be the means of solving everyone else's problems. Now, is that hard to believe? Is that quite startling? Yeah, I think if you had heard what I said, it would have to be quite startling. So that means then, what does that mean? That means that if you are holy, if you are innocent, if you are powerful, and if you have the power of God in you, then so does everybody else. There's no one that has any power that everybody doesn't share. We all have the same powers. We all have the same abilities. We are all spiritual beings. We are all created beings. So that means you don't have any kind of power that is not available to any other child of God. If there's one child of God that has the power to manifest abundance and prosperity and joy and happiness, then every single one of us have the power to do that, because God doesn't do specialness. There's no such thing as one child of God having more than another child of God. There's no such thing as one child of love having more than another child of love. So you have as much access to love and power and innocence and the abundance of this universe as anybody else does. So why else are you holy? You are holy, you are powerful, because all things God created are powerful. And everything that God created is innocent and is loving and is lovable. So you are holy, you are innocent, you are powerful, you are lovable. And all things that were created by God are holy. Everything created by God is loved and powerful and lovable. And so it says, and all things God created are holy because you are. So what? You are innocent. I'm going to say this over and over again. Every pain, every suffering, every unhappiness that you have in your life on any level, according to A Course in Miracles, is coming from subconscious, unconscious anger, guilt, grievances, and the belief that you're separate. You may not believe that, you may not understand that, you may not agree with that. It doesn't change the fact that it's true. All of your pain, all of your suffering, at any level, any level of unhappiness that you're having, any problems, any lack, is coming from your belief, either consciously or unconsciously, that you are separate from God, that you're different from your Creator, that you're not linked to that which created you. All your problems come from a lack of connection with God. All your problems come from a lack of awareness of your connection with God, the power of God, the holiness within you. So what are we going to do today? Well, it says, well, in today's exercises, we will apply the power of your innocence. That's what I'm going to use, the word innocence instead of holiness. We're going to apply the power of your innocence to what problems? We're going to apply the power of your innocence to all problems, all difficulties, and all suffering in any form. The Course in Miracles, don't you see that the Course in Miracles keeps saying that there's a way that you can be a means to solve all problems in yourself and anybody else, no matter what the form is. The Course in Miracles did not say that there is an exception. It says, we will apply the power of your holiness, your innocence, to all problems, difficulties, or suffering in any form that you happen to think of in yourself or in anybody else. We are going to apply the power of love, the power of God inside of you. We're going to apply that to any problem, any difficulty, any suffering that you happen to think of in your own experience, and any suffering that you happen to think of in anybody else's experience. So what does that mean? It means that we're not going to make any distinctions between your problems and someone else's problems, your difficulties and someone else's difficulties. We're not going to make any differences between your suffering and anybody else's suffering. There are no distinctions. The power of God in you, the holiness in you, can be a means of solving all of your problems and difficulties and pains and sorrow, and your truth about you, the truth about you, your spirit, who you really are, your holiness, your innocence, can also be a means to solve anybody else's problems and difficulties and suffering in any form. We're not going to make any distinctions because there are no distinctions. It's all one. It's all the same. You are part of the oneness. We are all one. Either we are all one and joined and connected, or we are all separate and different and apart. There is no compromise. Either you and I are connected, or you and I are not connected. Either you and I both have the power of God in us, the power of love in us, the power of innocence in us, or neither one of us have the power of God in us, the power of love. There is no specialness in the sense of anybody having any of the love of God or the gifts of God that not another one of us has. That's good news. So notice that I'm doing the workbook lessons because I'm much more interested in the practical application of the ideas so that you can use these ideas to solve problems in your everyday life than talking about all of the theoretical aspects of the course. So in our longer practice periods, and guess what? How long should the practice periods take? Well, 5 minutes. Oh my God, that's an unreasonable amount of time to ask to focus on ending every problem, sorrow, and difficulty that I have. You mean you're asking me to take a whole 5 minutes to alleviate every pain and suffering that I think I have and anybody else has? You're asking me to take 5 minutes? Right. So what do in that 5 minutes? It says, repeat the idea for today. Repeat the idea for today. Repeat the idea for today. What do you do in order to be a means of solving your problems and everybody else's problems? You take 5 minutes to say what I'm about to tell you from A Course in Miracles to say. 5 minutes. Repeat the idea. What's the idea? That there is nothing my innocence cannot do. There's nothing my holiness cannot do. That's what that means. There is nothing my power of God cannot do. There is nothing the power of love in me cannot do. That's what holiness is. So what do? For 5 minutes, close your eyes, okay? If you're somewhere that you can close your eyes, I would invite you to close your eyes right now. If you're somewhere that you can do that safely, okay? So you do what? You repeat the idea. What's the idea? There's nothing my holiness cannot do. Close your eyes. And what do I want you to do when you close your eyes? When you close your eyes, I want you to search your mind for any sense of loss or unhappiness of any kind. What? I want you to think of something that you're unhappy about. I know this is going to be very difficult. I want you to think of something that you're dissatisfied about. I want you to think of something that you're unhappy about. I want you to think of something that you feel a sense of loss about. I want you to think about some situation that you think you have lost in. I want you to think about something that upsets you and makes you unhappy. Have you noticed that that's what many people do and most people do all day long, anytime? Do you realize that the Course in Miracles is not asking us to do anything that we tend not to do all day anyway? It's kind of funny, really. I want you to search your mind for any sense of unhappiness and loss that you might have. Like that's something we don't do a lot. And the Course in Miracles says, as you see it. To search your mind for the things that's making you unhappy as you see it. Don't try to make any distinction between a situation that's difficult for you and a situation that's difficult for someone else. So I want you to think of situations that it looks like people that you know are in, that's making them unhappy. So I want you to think about what's making you unhappy, and I want you to think about what's making somebody else unhappy. I want you to think about something that you're not satisfied about, and I want you to think about something that it looks like somebody you know may not be satisfied about. So don't make any distinctions between what's difficult for you and what's difficult for somebody else. Don't make any distinctions between what's difficult for you and what's difficult for someone else. So I want you to think about the problems and the suffering and the pain that you think that you might be going through about something. And do you know, I also want you to think about the difficult situations that it looks like somebody you know is going through. Again, don't you see that the Course in Miracles is only asking us to do what we do all day pretty much anyway? I also want you to identify specifically the situation that seems to be difficult for you. And I also want you to think specifically about a situation you think may be difficult for somebody you know. So right now, if you're having a difficult job situation, be very specific. In my job situation right now, this is the difficulty that I'm having. In my health situation right now, I'm having a difficulty with my back. In my financial situation right now, I'm having a little bit of problems paying my credit card. In other words, identify the situation specifically and also name the person that you're concerned about. If you're concerned about someone, say their name. Whoever it is that you're concerned about, worried about, someone you think that's going through some kind of a difficulty, including you, I want you to say your name. Say their name. Very specific instructions. Course in Miracles students, do what the Course is asking you to do very specifically if you want to see the problem solved in your perception. Why are we doing this? Because you want to be happy. You want to be happy. You want to experience peace and joy and connection and love. That's why you are being asked to apply these ideas. So what are we being told to do? Think about what's making you unhappy. Think about what you're upset about. Think about the problem that it looks like somebody you know is going through right now. Don't make any distinction between their problems and your problems. Think about the situation that you think is difficult or challenging for you. Think about the situation you think is challenging for them. Name the person very specifically. My mama is driving me crazy right now, and I don't know what I'm going to do about her. Use the name of the person. and then use this form. I'm going to give you the form. I'm going to give you what? I'm going to tell you exactly how to practice this in such a way that it can help remove all pain from your perception. Do you know that that's what I'm doing right now? I'm sharing with you how to have your problem solved. I'm sharing with you how to have your problem solved, because God is not limited by what man can do or woman can do. We are tapping into a power that is beyond anything that the world says is possible or impossible. The Course in Miracles is a spiritual teaching. The Course in Miracles is a spiritual teaching. The Course in Miracles is a spiritual teaching. It is about putting you in touch with the divine, a power that is greater than you, a power that can do more than you. Do not limit God to what you think you can do or what you think the world is telling you is possible. So what you want to do now, we're tapping into a power that's more than the power of man. We're tapping into a power that's more than what the world says can be done or not done. So this is the way you want to say this, and you want to make this a habit. You want to go in the situation involving whatever it is that you see yourself in the situation involving blank, in which I see myself, there is nothing that my holiness cannot do. So in the situation involving me and my child, in which I see myself, there is nothing that my innocence, my power of God cannot do. So you can use the word innocence. The Course in Miracles teaches, do you know that the Course in Miracles teaches that a mind that is innocent can never suffer? Do you know that the Course teaches that if a mind completely knows its innocence, it cannot attract any kind of pain or suffering or lack in any form? An innocent mind never suffers. A mind that knows its innocence never lacks or suffers from anything. A mind that thinks that it is guilty, a person that believes in guilt or sin or separation or attack, that is the mind that is going to produce suffering for that individual. That individual is going to go through problems and difficulties broken into by periods in which it looks like their problems and difficulties are gone. So do you know that the Course is saying to you that whether you realize it or not, all of your pain, all your suffering, and all your difficulties come from believing that you're separate from God, that you're separate from love, that you're separate from your innocence. All of your pain, all of your suffering, all of your sorrow, loneliness on any level is coming from the idea that you're separate, that you are alone, that you're on your own, and that you are a body. All of your pain and suffering in any form is coming from the belief that you are not holy, that you are not innocent. That's where every problem is coming from. So you say, in the situation involving blank, in which I see myself, there's nothing my holiness cannot do in this situation. Involving my child, in which I see myself, there's nothing that my innocence, that my love, that my power of God cannot do. This is what you're supposed to say. This is what you're supposed to say. In the situation involving my brother, in which my brother sees himself, there is nothing my innocence, my holiness cannot do. In the situation involving my friend over here that's going through a lot of issues right now, I have to realize that in that situation involving my friend, in which my friend is seeing themselves, there is nothing my holiness, my innocence, my spirit, my power of God cannot do. Don't question this. Don't debate this. Don't try to figure this out. Don't analyze this. Just do it. Just do it. How do you know it doesn't work if you don't consistently do it? So in the situation involving my financial situation in which I see myself, there's nothing my innocence, my holiness cannot do. In the situation involving my friend in which my friend sees themselves, there's nothing my innocence, my holiness cannot do. That's what you're being asked to do. This is what you're being asked to say. So what are you going to do from time to time? What are you going to do today from time to time? You are going to, from time to time, you may want to change this procedure. You might want to add some relevant thoughts of your own. You might want to add some thoughts of your own. You might want to vary this in some way, just like I did. I said, in this situation involving my friend, in which my friend sees themselves, there's nothing my innocence, my power of God cannot do. So it's okay, because the main thing you want to keep in mind is it is not your power that's going to solve anything. It is not your ego's power that's going to solve anything. It's not your own little personal small self that's going to really solve anything. The truth is, it's the power of God in you, your holiness, your innocence. The recognition of your innocence is the key to your happiness and having all your problems resolved. So you want to make sure that you are not trying to make anybody else feel guilty. You must stop. I repeat, you must stop. You must stop trying to make people feel guilty. Stop trying to make people feel guilty. Stop trying to make a person feel guilty. It's the worst thing in the world that you can do, is try to make someone else feel guilty, because all that you give is given to yourself, and all that guilt and anger that you're giving it to yourself, and it's guilt and anger that produces difficulties, sorrows, lacks, sickness. All of those things are coming from some level of separation and some level of thinking that you're guilty, whether you know it or not. So you do not, I repeat, you do not want to be spending your time trying to make someone else feel guilty, because you're just creating lack for yourself. And also, you don't want to allow yourself to be guilt-tripped by anyone. Anyone that's trying to make you feel guilty, that person is not your friend. That person is not your friend. Someone who is trying to make you feel guilty all the time, that is a person who's trying to get you in a state of mind, guilt, which produces pain and sorrow and lack. So the last person who loves you is someone that's constantly trying to make you feel guilty and who's constantly trying to use anger to manipulate you in some way. And you definitely, according to the Course, you definitely are not expressing real love for somebody that you are attempting to make feel guilty constantly, because they're not doing what you want them to do, however you want them to do it. Because holiness is the opposite of guilt. Innocence is the opposite of guilt. So if a guilty mind produces separation and pain, then obviously an innocent mind creates unity and pleasure and joy. So in this situation in which you see yourself, there's nothing your innocence can't do. And in the situation that the other person in that you know who's going through challenges right now, in the situation involving that person in which they see themselves, you just simply say, there's nothing my holiness can't do. There's nothing my innocence can't do. There's nothing my innocence can't do in connection to solving my problems, and there's nothing my innocence can't do in connection to solving everyone else's problem. Have you noticed I've been saying the same thing in various ways over and over and over again? Do you know that that is exactly what the Course in Miracles told us to do? What? Repeat it. Repeat it. There is nowhere, anywhere in this lesson that it says, analyze this. Nowhere in any of the lessons in the Course in Miracles does it ever say, analyze this. It doesn't even say your understanding is a powerful contribution to the truth. It says, I just want you to do what I'm telling you. In any situation involving whatever you're going through right now, that you see yourself, there's nothing your holiness, your innocence cannot do to solve that. In the situation involving a friend or relative or somebody that you know and you know they're going through a problem or challenge right now in which they see themselves, there's nothing your innocence cannot do to heal that situation. From time to time, you might want to vary this procedure. From time to time, you might want to add a few relevant thoughts of your own. So let me give you an example. Would you like an example? Okay, you might like, for example, you might like to include these kind of thoughts in doing this healing process. You might need to do these kind of thoughts. You might say, there's nothing my holiness cannot do. There's nothing my holiness cannot do. There's nothing my innocence cannot do. There's nothing my innocence cannot do. There is nothing my innocence cannot do. There's nothing my innocence can't do. There's nothing my innocence cannot do. There's nothing my love cannot do. There's nothing my love cannot do. There's nothing the power of God in me cannot do. There's nothing that the power of God in me cannot do. Now notice it says the power of God, that holiness is the power of God, the power of God, the power of love, the power of God. I got two states of mind when it comes to God. I'm either in a state of mind where I believe and accept the truth of God, or I'm in a state of mind or belief that I want to accept my connection to God. I did not create myself. I exist, but I don't know how I exist. I don't know why I exist. I'm just aware that I exist. And you exist. So don't you realize there's no way that you could exist unless something was thinking you up and that there was something that wants you to exist. Forget all the other things that the world has taught you. Use your common sense. Use your common sense. Use your common sense. If it's been created, it has a creator. So that means that you have the power of your creator inside of you. You have the power of God inside of you. There's nothing your holiness cannot do because the power of God lies in your holiness. Holiness means the power of God. So you want to think, okay, there's nothing my innocence and power of God cannot do because there's nothing my holiness cannot do because the power of God is in my holiness. The power of God is in my innocence. The power of God is in my loving self. The power of God is in my free self. The power of God is in the part of me that knows I'm free. The power of God is in the part of me that knows I'm spirit. The power of God is not in the power of me that thinks it's a human being. The power of God is not in the part of me that thinks I'm a body. The power of God is not in the part of you, the part of your mind that thinks you are just a separate body, a separate person. That's not where the power of holiness is located according to the Course. The power of your holiness, the power of the healing abilities in you is located in the power of God in you, the power of love in you. So introduce whatever variations appeal to you. Whatever way you want to say this, and whatever variety, just make sure you don't lose sight of the idea that there is nothing that your holiness cannot do, that your holiness can do anything. Your innocence can do anything. Your power from God can do anything. So what is the theme? What is the theme? The theme is there is nothing my holiness cannot do. So what is the purpose of this lesson? What is the purpose of this exercise? What are you doing this for? Why are you doing there's nothing my holiness cannot do? There's nothing my innocence cannot do. Well, I'll tell you the purpose. Are you ready? Because purpose is meaning. The purpose is this. A Course in Miracles is trying to instill in you. What is it that the Course in Miracles is trying to instill in you? Okay, the Course in Miracles is trying to instill in you a sense that you have dominion over all things. What? You have dominion over all things. You have dominion over all things. You are not the victim of the world you see. You are not the victim of the world you see. You are not the victim of the world you see. You're responsible for what you see. You're responsible for how you see things. You're responsible for how you see things. You are a creator. You're not a victim. You are a creator. You are not a victim. You have invented the world you see. Everything you see is coming from you. So we're trying to instill in you a sense that you have dominion over all things because you are a child of God. You have dominion over all things because of what you are. You are a God being. You are a divine being. You are a spiritual being. You are consciousness. You are mind. You are awareness. You are more than a body. 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 You have a body. You have a body. You have a body. Your body is a means of communicating. Your body is a means for communicating. I'm communicating to you through my what? I'm communicating with you through what? What am I communicating to you through? I'm communicating to you through the body. So you have dominion over everything because of what you are. So I want you to apply this all during the day. There's nothing my holiness cannot do. There's nothing my innocence cannot do. There's nothing my power of God cannot do. I want you to say that every time you have any sense of unhappiness come up. And also in the frequent shorter applications, apply this idea, there's nothing my holiness cannot do, unless there's a problem concerning you and someone else arises or comes to mind. So whenever you start to think about a problem you're having or a problem somebody else is having, then be very specific in that situation And in that situation, you would do what? You would say, in the situation involving this person in which they see themselves, there's nothing my innocence cannot do. There's nothing my holiness cannot do. This message is especially for people who are Course in Miracles students. Because if you're a Course in Miracles student and you have decided that the Course in Miracles is your path, then you need to do what the Course in Miracles says, right? If this is your spiritual path, then you know that your job is to do what it's saying. Now, that's if you see this as your path. And if you would like to try it to see if it would actually work, then you need to say this. Notice that we were given very specific instructions. If there's something going on with somebody you know, and they're unhappy right now, and they have serious issues and problems that they're dealing with, you have been told what you need to do to help. You've been told what you need to do to help them, which is to tell them that in this problem involving my friend, in which my friend sees themselves or my relative sees themselves, there's nothing my innocence, my holiness cannot do. There's nothing my holiness cannot do because the power of God lies in it. There's nothing that is nothing my holiness cannot do. There's nothing my innocence, my spirit cannot do because the power of God lies in it. Then the Course in Miracles says you should say that whenever you think of a specific problem that's coming up in regards to another person, that you would say in this situation involving my cousin, that my cousin is going through right now, there is nothing check it out, my holiness cannot do. My innocence cannot do. So how many times could you have the possibility of saying this in a day? Well, if I was to say this every time I was unhappy about anything, or any time that I thought of other people that were unhappy about anything, and then I remember to tell myself in this situation, there's nothing that my holiness can't do because the power of God lies in it, then I would be doing what Spirit is asking me to do practically all day long. And the Course promises that it could resolve problems, all sorrows, all pain, and all difficulty in regard to you and in regard to anyone that you know. Have you heard me say anything to you today from A Course in Miracles that you would not be capable of doing right now? Have you heard me ask you to do anything that you couldn't do right now? Have you noticed that every one of you could say, there's nothing my holiness cannot do? Every one of you could say, in the situation involving whoever in which I see myself, there's nothing my holiness cannot do. Every single one of you listening to me could say, in the situation involving whoever in which they see themselves, there's nothing my holiness cannot do. Don't you agree that every one of you watching me and listening to me could say, there's nothing my holiness cannot do because the power of God lies in it? See, the truth, Spirit, is not going to ask you to do anything that you're not willing and able to do right now. Spirit would never ask you to do anything that you would not be willing and able to do right now. According to the Course, our Creator is smart enough to ask us to do stuff that we would be willing and able to do, because in asking us to do things that we would be willing and able to do, then it would get done. The best way to make sure that the dishes don't get washed is to want the person who don't want to wash the dishes to wash the dishes. The easiest way to get the dishes washed would be to ask the person to wash the dishes who wants to wash the dishes. So Spirit is not going to spend its time focusing on trying to get people to do things that they don't want to do. The Spirit is going to focus on asking you to do things that you do want to do and that you're able to do right now. And anything that Spirit or God asks you to do is going to be something that benefits more people than just you. So anything that Spirit asks you to do is going to be for the good of all, everyone. Spirit is not concerned with your personal interests. Spirit is concerned with the best interest for all of us. We're the one that's focused in on just our best interest and our happiness. That's not the attitude of a conscious spiritual being. A conscious spiritual being knows that my healing is your healing. Your healing is my healing. We are one. So if I change my mind, I'm changing your mind because there is just one mind. Okay, so I'm going to wrap this up in a quick recap in just a moment so we can take this into this week. I'm Earl Purdy. I am a full-time teacher of A Course in Miracles. And so if you'd like to make a financial expression of appreciation, go to my website, www.earlpurdy.com, P-U-R-D-Y. You can also use Zelle, you can use Venmo, you can use PayPal, you can use the Cash App. All you need is my email address. And my email address is earlpurdy@earlpurdy.com, earlpurdy@earlpurdy.com. I'm also available for one-on-one counseling, mentoring sessions, so that if there's something in your personal life and you're ready to get that alleviated and changed and healed, then we can work together. You and I can have a session one-to-one where I can show you and share with you exactly how you should deal with that according to what the Course is teaching in my 40 years experience of working with people. It's called a clarity session. If you'd like to have one, go to my website, earlpurdy.com. Look under the clarity session section of my website. It will give you all the details that you need, and you can self-book an appointment with me right online. And I look forward to working with you on a one-on-one. Sundays at 1 p.m. Mountain Time on the Earl Purdy page on Facebook, the Earl Purdy page on Facebook. I do Facebook Live on A Course in Miracles, 1 p.m. Mountain Time. On Thursdays at 7 p.m. Mountain Time, every Thursday, I do another Facebook Live on A Course in Miracles that's called Hardcore Course in Miracles. That's especially for Course in Miracles students. That's 7 p.m. Mountain Time on the Earl Purdy page. I have hundreds of videos, including all the workbook lessons on YouTube and also on Facebook and also on my website. Okay, so I'm here to be truly helpful. I'm here to represent the Spirit who sent me. I don't have to worry about what to say or what to do because I know the Holy Spirit that sent me will direct me. And I know that I will be healed as I let the Holy Spirit teach me how to heal. That's how you heal. You say, I am willing to absolutely be used as a means for the healing of everyone. I am absolutely willing to be used for the healing and happiness of everyone. This is what a being says who is waking up and who really wants to be healed. So here we go, okay? Because we want to make sure that this is practical, right? We want to make sure that this is practical. So I'll say it to you again, really quick. I'm going to go back over the instructions that we were given pretty quickly because I've highlighted them, okay? First of all, realize that there's nothing your holiness can't do. Your holiness can do anything. Your innocence can do anything. You have a power within you that can do anything, whether you believe it or not. You have a power in you that can heal anything, your problems and anybody else's problems, whether you believe it or not. Your holiness, your innocence, your spirit reverses all the laws of the world. So that means that you have an unlimited power within you. You have an unlimited power within you. Why is it that you don't know you have an unlimited power within you? Because of what you've learned. The reason why you don't know that you have unlimited power within you is because of what you've learned and what you're telling yourself. The reason you don't know your power is because of what you've learned and what you're telling yourself, because you are a child of God. So what does it mean to be a child of God? It means that you are at one with God. It means you are joined with your source. It means you are joined with your source. It means you are joined with all that is. How do you make the power of love manifest in your life? You make the power of love manifest in your life through your innocence. So don't do anything to make you feel guilty. And even if you think you have no guilt, if you see any pain or suffering anywhere in your life around you, you do have thoughts of guilt and separation that you don't know about. So you make the power of God available. How do you make the power of God available? You make the power of love available through your innocence, through recognizing your innocence, through reinforcing the idea of your innocence. What is it that your innocence can do? Your innocence can remove pain and end sorrow and solve all problems, all problems, all problems. Your innocence, your holiness, your power can solve all problems in connection with yourself and all problems in connection with anybody else. It's equal in its power to help anyone. Your holiness is equal in its power to save anyone. And everybody's just like you. Everybody's loved just like you. Everybody has the power of God available to them. No one has anything from God that's not available to any other child of God. So you want to apply, where do you want to apply your innocence? You want to apply your holiness to all problems, difficulties, and suffering in any form. So what do? You close your eyes and you tell yourself, there's nothing my holiness cannot do. There's nothing my innocence cannot do. Then search your mind for anything that's making you unhappy. Whatever it is that gives you any concern, any worry, any unhappiness, think about it, and then think about what somebody else might be going through that's giving them some type of concern or worry or problem. Because you shouldn't make any distinction between your problems and anybody else's problem. And so what do you do then? When you think about what you're unhappy about, or when you think about a problem somebody else has, tell yourself, in this situation, there is nothing my holiness cannot do. In this situation, in this relationship, it can be a relationship. So you could say, in this relationship involving my partner, in which I see myself, there is nothing my innocence cannot do. There's nothing my holiness cannot do. There's nothing my power of God cannot do. Then you tell yourself, if it's another person that you know that's having difficulties or sorrow or pain, then you say, in the situation involving my cousin, for example, in which my cousin sees himself, there is nothing my holiness cannot do. There is nothing my God cannot do. There is nothing my power cannot do. Very specific instructions, application of the ideas. So from time to time, you want to say, there's nothing my holiness cannot do because the power of God lies in it. There's nothing my innocence cannot do because the power of God lies in it. There's nothing my innocence cannot do because the power of freedom lies in it. The power of love lies in it. There's nothing my power of God cannot do. There's nothing my innocence cannot do. There's nothing your innocence cannot do because the power of God lies in your innocence. There's nothing your innocence cannot do because the power of love lies in it. There's nothing the recognition and the knowledge of your innocence cannot do because the power of God lies in it. So every time, from time to time, you get a chance to say that. And why are you doing this? What is the purpose of this? The purpose of this is to remind you that you are not a victim of the world you see. You are not a victim of the world you see. You have dominion over all things because of what you are. You are linked to the divine. You are a child of the divine. So how can you be a child of the divine and don't have the same powers that the divine has? What child is it that doesn't have the characteristics of its parent, right? So if you have been created by God, then therefore you would have the attributes and characteristics of God, which is love. And so that means you are not a victim. It means that you are responsible for what you see. It means you choose the feelings you experience. It means you decide upon the goal you would achieve. And it means that everything that seems to happen to you, you ask for and receive as you have asked, including the wonderful things, the beautiful things, and the healing things that happen to you. Those are things that you're asking for. So, mighty companion, we'll say it one more time. There is nothing my holiness cannot do, because the power of God lies in my holiness. There is nothing your innocence cannot do, because the power of love lies in it. Mighty companion, thank you for joining me. Thank you so much for letting me know that I'm not alone in wanting some sanity and wanting to really practice A Course in Miracles and really apply the Course in Miracles, and to remember to remind yourself all day today that you have the power within you to have all your problems and difficulties solved, and you also have the power within you to also be a means for the healing and the solving of anyone else's difficulties. I bless you. May the Course be with you.